right, in today's math lesson, our math goal is to add and subtract numbers with decimals. So go ahead and write it down in your math notebook and write down everything you know about adding and subtracting numbers with decimals. All right, so what's my rule? Let's look at it in the inbox and look at the outbox. So pause the video here and see if you can figure out what my rule is, and then come back to me. All right, well, hopefully you said that in the inbox, my decimals were lined up, and in my outbox, my decimals were not lined up. So what's my rule for adding and subtracting decimals? I need to line up my decimals. All right, let's look at our first example. I have 60 cents in one pocket and 20 cents in another pocket. How much money do I have? Write the math problem and solve it, and then we'll see how you solved it. All right, well, hopefully you rewrote it going up and down vertically, because this is the only way you can line up your decimals. You've got to rewrite it vertically. And hopefully you wrote 60 cents plus 20 cents, and you lined up to the decimals. So 60 plus 20 gives you 80 cents. For our next example, I'm going to add 7/10 and 3/100. Okay, so 7/10 is written as 0.7, and 3/100 is written as 0.03. Now, I notice I added a 0 here to put a placeholder in my hundred spot, so I can easily add 3 plus 0 is 3, 7 plus 0 is 7, and then bring down your decimal, and it gives you 73/100. All right, so you try one now. You're going to add 7/100 and 5/100. Remember to write them up and down vertically, all right? And then come back to me. All right, so if you rewrote them vertically, 7/100 is written as 0.07, and 5/100 is written as 0.05. And 7 plus 5 makes a 12, so you need to regroup the 1. I bring over my 1, and 1 plus 0 is 1. So it gives me 12/100. So just like regular adding, and then bring down your decimal, just like regular adding, just lining up your decimals. And then don't forget to bring it down. Okay, let's look at subtracting decimals. Same way. I had 70 cents and gave away 30 cents away. How much money do I have left? So 70 cents is written like this, minus 30 cents. So I subtract 0, 0, 7 take away 3 is 4, bring down my decimal. I got 40 cents left over. So remember, very important, line up your decimals. All right, so you try a subtracting problem. So I had 75 cents and I gave away 34 cents. How much money do I have left? So go ahead and rewrite this in your math notebook, rewrite it vertically, and don't forget to line up your decimals. All right, so I rewrote it, and I got 75 cents minus 34 cents is like giving away 3 dimes and 4 pennies, right? So I lined up my decimals. 5 take away 4 is 1, 7 take away 3 is 4. Bring down my decimal. How much do I have left? 41 cents. All right, so you try one. I have 7/10 minus 5/100. So don't forget, rewrite it vertically and line up the decimals. All right, so I rewrote it and I added a 0 as a placeholder, right? Because I had 7/10, I had a 0 in my placeholders because this is 5/100 minus 5/100, so I got to add a placeholder. I have 0, I can't take away 5. I borrowed from the 7, that made it a 6, and this became a 10. Now 10 take away 5 is 5, 6 take away 0 is 6. Bring down my decimal. I have 65 cents left over. All right, so the most important thing in this lesson is really If you're adding and subtraction, you've got to line up the decimals. So guess what? I have a song for us. You ready? I'll sing it once. You kind of get the pattern and the rhythm, and then sing it with me. Addition, subtraction, line up the decimals. Addition, subtraction, line up the decimals. What do we do? Line up the decimals, line up the decimals. Addition, subtraction, line up the decimals, line up the decimals. All right, got it? Now sing it with me. Come on, sing it with me. Addition, subtraction, line up the decimals. Addition, subtraction, line up the decimals. What do we do? Line up the decimals, line up the decimals. Addition, subtraction, line up the decimals, line up the decimals. One more time, ready? Addition, subtraction, line up the decimals. Addition, subtraction, line up the decimals. What do we do? Line up the decimals, line up the decimals. Addition, subtraction, line up the decimals, line up the decimals. Miss Holguin being silly, right? Makes it more interesting. Now, believe it or not, it's a good thing for you to practice. We're going to practice this in class too and sing it, because when we start multiplying and dividing fractions, it's a whole different ball game. And if you've got this memorized about lining up the decimals for adding and subtracting, it's going to make it way a lot easier. All right, so what did you learn today? So in your math notebook, write down what you learned, proof of learning by solving a problem, and a reflection and a question you may have about this lesson.